Hey, this is Peter and welcome to another Take a Break with Valley CAD. I actually just got done teaching a Weldments class, and if you want to learn more about our Weldments class, it's a one-day class that we are teaching in person as well as online, or we could even look at a hybrid scenario if you want as well. So working through the Weldments class, there's one thing that I always love showing on the side note, and that's, hey, how do I go about starting a part that can then be created for a weldment scenario? So in this video, I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite ways to come in and make a simple weldment structure that could be used for like a conveyor frame or a tabletop frame. You know, use your imagination on it, but it's a really simple way to come in and create a weldment system. So go get your favorite cup of coffee or tea, and I'll see you in SOLIDWORKS in just a click. Hey there, welcome to SOLIDWORKS. So when you come in and you make a weldment part file, right? There are two ways that people tend to do it. One of them is utilizing 2D sketches, and then the other one is utilizing 3D sketches. And I'm gonna show you two ways that I actually go about it. And technically it is one way is using 2D and the other one's using 3D. So the 2D sketch approach, this route does work nicely, but what you have to do is create multiple planes in order to make, reference planes that you could sketch on. And so, like I said, we're gonna come in and make this so it's based off of a simple frame structure that could be used for like a tabletop or for a conveyor frame. It could be used in multiple scenarios. So we're gonna simply come in and we're gonna make it to where I can see all my planes. So I'm just gonna hold down Shift and I clicked from front to right plane. And that way I can see them in my graphics area. I'm also gonna make it so I can see my origin in the center as well. So heads up toolbar, turn on my origin so I can see that too. All right, so with this setup, what we have to do is come in and move planes around so that those are my overall variables that I'm gonna be used to control this framework. So I'm first gonna come on my top plane. I'm gonna hold down Control, click and drag. So this is a quick way to make an offset plane while you are working in a part file. This also works in assemblies, by the way. So in this scenario, we'll say that we're gonna go up 24 inches. So the top of my frame is that high, and simply say okay to that. Then from here, what I wanna do is come into my right plane, hold down Control, click that out as well. And we'll simply make this so it's 60 inches long, why not? And then from my plane number 2 here, I'm gonna hold down Control and drag this off to the left side, but I wanna go beyond my right plane here. And we'll make this so it's 150 inches. And then simply say okay to that. So as I'm modeling this, I like to come in, and actually it's a really good practice to come in and make it so that your origin is centered about your weldment structure, because then you could utilize mirroring, you could utilize linear patterns. For patterning instances, it's really powerful to model this way. Now, as we look at this here, I need to make it to where my model bisects this. Okay, so I'm gonna come in and create global variables, and these global variables are gonna control my overall length and my overall width and my overall height of my conveyor frame. So coming in here, plane number 3, this guy alone, I'm gonna simply double click on it. I'm gonna type in equal, so that way I'm in equation mode. I'm gonna type in overall length, and then for OAL for overall length, and then say okay to that, and then say okay again. So now what we see here is at 150, and it has the equation symbol on it. Then I'm gonna do the same thing over here with this 60. I'm gonna simply double click on that one. Okay, so double click on this, and we'll say that this one equals OAL, like so, divide by 2, and simply say okay. So you'll see that automatically calculated that's being 75 for me, like that. Okay, so that's my overall length, and then I'm gonna do the same process with my front plane. Drag this out, and we'll simply make this so it's coming off, let's say 18 inches. Okay, cool. And then do that again from here and move this to the back side, and we'll make this so it's 40 inches. Okay, and then simply say okay to that again. So with plane number 5, we're gonna take this value here, double click on that, and just type in OAW for overall width, and then say okay to that. And then plane number 4, we'll simply take that 18, make this equal overall width, divide by 2, or times 0.5, whichever route you want to take with that. And then simply say okay again. Now this approach works quite nicely, as you can tell here, but I'm adding a lot of things to my design tree. But it is helpful to have this stuff. So I'm going to come in and utilize that plane number 1 that I created, you know, my top of my conveyor frame. And by the way, it is a great practice to come in here and rename these planes. So top of conveyor frame, so TCF is what I'm using there. Okay, it's a good practice. All you have to do is slow click on it on the text, and that will get you into edit name mode. So in this scenario, I'm going to select on that top of conveyor frame and create a new sketch. From here, I'm going to utilize my existing reference planes to control the size of my rectangle here. So coming in from here, I'm going to select that line, select that plane, and say, hey, be collinear. From that plane and line, make that collinear, and then also do that here, say be collinear, and then do that again over here. Make that so it's collinear as well. Now from here, I could simply say okay to that. And you'll see that SOLIDWORKS, yeah, it made all the planes big, right? That way it matches up with what sort of sketch geometry we have here. Then I'm going to come in and activate plane number 2 here and create another sketch. With this, I could come in, I could draw some simple lines coming down, and maybe I want these lines to come down and intersect at the top plane here. So because it's vertical, means that it's going to be in line with that front of my conveyor and also on the back side. And also since I sketched it on plane number 2, it will also update if I change that value at all. So I'm just going to hold down Control, click that point, select the top plane, say be coincident. And this one already has a coincident relation on it as well. From there, simply say okay. All right, not looking bad. And then from there, I could easily come on to plane number 3 here, create another sketch, and I could say, hey, convert entities from sketch number 2. Or I could easily come in and mirror my bodies onto the other side. In this scenario, I'll just simply say convert. And then simply say okay again. Now what I'm gonna do is simply come in here, I'm gonna make it so that my planes are hidden. So now we can see the simple framework that I would use for my weldment structure. So I'll say structural member on here, and we can say ANSI inch training on this, and we'll do square tubing on it. And with the square tubing, let's just say it's 2 by 2 by 1/4 inch wall. Okay, so from here to simply come through, here's my first group coming all the way around on this thing. And we'll say a new group from that, and we'll click on these vertical legs. Now keep in mind, I'm not going into a lot of detail on it. I'm not purposely working through the aspects of, is that actually gonna hold, right? I'm not worrying about that. What we're working through is how we're gonna lay out our part file so that way we can create our weldment structure from it. So this is taking quite a few clicks to do, right? You can see that it took a while to make up all these planes and everything and then creating the sketches on it. You know, it's taking quite a bit here. So I'm gonna show you another way to do it. And when I learned about this other way, I was like, where's this been my entire life? So we're gonna open up a brand new part file, show you how this works actually. So that first approach, seriously, that's how I modeled weldment structures time and time and time again. And then when I saw this little trick, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do this from now on forever. So what we're gonna do is actually come in and create a simple boss base extrusion. Yeah, and it's actually gonna set up for a 3D sketch for us, right? 3D sketching, normally people like go into like a cold sweat going, oh no, not 3D sketching. But it's actually gonna be quite a bit easier than that. So coming in here, we're gonna come on to my top plane and we'll simply create a new simple boss base extrusion from this. So simply activating a rectangle command. We'll do center corner rectangle because like I said, it's a great practice to try to keep your origin centered about your part for the sake of mirroring and other patterning approaches. From here, I'm gonna come in and we'll smart dimension this one out. We'll simply make this one so it's 36 inches wide, and we'll make this one so, you know, it's 120 inches long. Okay, cool. And then from there, simply get out my sketch, and then it's gonna switch into boss base extrude mode for me. From here, I'm gonna make it so that this conveyor frame, let's just say it's 36 inches off the ground. Great. The other thing that we're gonna do, so as you saw from my previous structure system, I didn't have any legs coming across the bottom. I would have had to made another plane in here and those cross members, and I would have had to set up some variables for it to cut properly on there and create some new sketches. Not gonna worry about that in that scenario, but I'll do that in this one. So I'm gonna simply hold down Control and drag this up. And we'll say that we need to go up 8 inches off from the ground there. Okay, cool. So now here's the fun part. We're gonna come in and activate a 3D sketch. Now, if you're not familiar with 3D sketching, if you go to the Sketch tab and underneath Sketch, you'll have a little drop down arrow and you can select 3D sketch. Or since we are working with Weldments, you can simply go to the Weldments tab and you'll see 3D sketch there. Simply clicking on that, what we're gonna do now is activate the Convert Entities command. So with that selected, what I can do now is simply click on this face, or click on this line. And by the way, since I have a blue box there, I don't have to hold down Control. I just simply go through and click on the entities as I see fit to add. And then from there, simply say, okay, done. I have a sketch system now where I can apply structure members to. So you know that little plane that we created, right? Well, guess what? When you're working in a 3D sketch, underneath Convert Entities, click on that drop-down arrow, and you'll see this thing called Intersection Curve. Click on that, and what you can do is simply click on that plane, then go through and click on the 4 faces that are perpendicular to that plane, and simply say OK to that, and then say OK again. You'll see here where that plane is intersecting those faces, SOLIDWORKS comes in, and it drops lines for me. Done. I'm going to simply say OK to that. And now what we could do, I'm gonna hover over my geometry and push tab. And what I'm gonna do now is activate my Weldments command, and we'll do structural member, and we'll do the 2x2 by 1/4 inch wall tubing again. And we'll simply come in here, and we'll start clicking on my geometry that I need. So there's my first group. We'll say new group again. We'll come in here, we'll grab this bottom set of lines, and we'll say new group again, and we'll simply click on these vertical lines. Now, like I said, I'm not gonna worry about where my profiles are located about my sketch geometry or anything. It is bisecting currently. We're not gonna worry about that. What I wanted to focus on again in this video was how we're gonna lay out a part for a weldment. Now look how fast that was, right? But there is a gotcha when you do this boss extrude method. You will see it in your design tree under your cut list folder. So what I like to do here is I actually use the delete keep body command. And so I use it all the time since this is the way that I model my geometry. And by the way, I just held Shift Tab to show this again. I'm gonna say delete keep body and simply click on that geometry and then say okay to that. So that deletes it from my model, which then removes it from my cut list as well. But since this is coming in and it's utilizing my existing geometry, my part, like the feature looked like that, I could easily come in here, double click on a dimension and say, oh, this needs to be 24 inches wide. And my overall length on this thing needs to be, we'll say 96 inches. And my overall height, this needs to be at 30 inches. Do a Control Q on that. Everything gets updated like that. So this other approach that we did with the simple sketch planes, you know, this is also very useful because we can just say manage equations on it. And we'll say, okay, instead of being 150, we need you to be 120. That's gonna automatically shrink that. And then our overall width on this needs to be 24. And we're done. So this approach is really fast to do after you make it, but it just takes quite a bit longer to make it. This effect here is faster to create, and it's also just as fast to update. So you kind of figure out which route works better for you. But I really like doing this simple boss base extrude and convert my edges and faces into a 3D sketch. So I hope you are enjoying these videos. If you are, please click that thumbs up button. Also click subscribe so you can get notified for future Take a Break videos and other videos from here at ValleyCAD. So once again, my name is Peter. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you're getting some really cool nuggets out of it. Have a great rest of the day and make sure you learn something new.